Today, the house stood empty, echoing with silence. The entire house felt devoid of life. It was just my beloved mother and me in the cozy confines of our home. In the room, Mother was busy arranging the bed, her hands deftly smoothing the sheets and fluffing the pillows, creating a cozy haven. As I stepped into the room, I engaged in an act with my mother that brought her immense joy. This joy was so profound that it enveloped her just as it did when my father bestowed it upon her for the very first time. And so it was, following that joy, that a younger sister of mine came into our home. Today, I brought a smile to my mother's face as I tidied up the bed, filling the moment with joy. My mother's joy was limitless. Today, her face radiated a unique glow. Today, I have the pleasure of sharing with you a remarkable tale about a family residing in Australia. A one-of-a-kind bond between a mother and her son. Greetings, dear companions. Welcome to your YouTube channel. Only Storytelling. Think of this channel as a canvas for your imagination. And if the tales we weave resonate with you, then joining our YouTube family would be a delightful choice. Once upon a time, we embarked on a journey together. Greetings, dear companions. Once upon a time, there was a man named Jade, hailing from the beautiful land of Canada. In the realm of looks, I possess a striking allure. In my current role as a private doctor, I find myself surrounded by a remarkable tapestry of women, each with their own unique stories and experiences. This is why I share all the cherished delights of women, all the beloved delights I'm intimately familiar with regarding food and beverages. This is the reason I possess the ability to bring joy to any woman in a truly remarkable manner. She will always find it impossible to hold anger towards me. Oh, and let me share that there are 3 additional members in my family. My father weaves his life around the world of commerce. He often finds himself wandering through various cities, each one a chapter in the tale of his business journey. That is the reason he cannot dedicate much time to my mother. Many times, I have witnessed my mother in moments of sorrow, her sadness palpable in the air around her. My mother, Lovira, possesses an extraordinary beauty that captivates the eye. Though she has seen many seasons, even now, she does not bear the appearance of youth. Yet, with my father often absent from home, my mother carries a deep sadness within her. My mother tends to the home, while my younger sister, still immersed in her studies, remains untouched by all these matters. Today, I caught a glimpse of my mother, seated quietly by herself in the comfort of our home. Once more, I found my mother wearing a veil of sadness. With a gentle smile directed at my mother, I suggested, "Mom, if you'd like, we could take a stroll along the beach together." Once upon a time, there existed a charming little beach nestled close to our home. Once upon a time, amidst a gathering of couples, my mother and I set out on an adventure to the beach. I found myself in a moment of anticipation, eagerly awaiting my mother's arrival. With a single glance, my mother conveyed her firm refusal. After much persuasion, I finally managed to sway my mother, and she agreed to embark on a journey to the beach. Her Friday has graced us with its presence once more. On Fridays, the beach remains a quiet sanctuary, as most people choose to stay away. Today, an incident unfolded on the beach, causing everyone to steer clear of its shores. Today, it was just my mother and I, sharing a moment together. As we approached the entrance to the beach, a vigilant security guard stood watch at the gate. He would not allow us to enter. Yet, there were a few security guards familiar to my mother, and she instructed them to allow us entry. And so it was that my mother and I found ourselves at the beach. Happiness remained elusive, a shadow that never graced my mother's face. In that moment, I found myself bound by a sacred oath, unable to share the depths of my heart with her. For our connection was woven with unspoken rules and silent understandings. Yet, it held great significance for me to understand the reasons behind my mother's sorrow. Then my mother asked me, "Son, aren't you planning to go to college?" Are there no girlfriends in your college life? Upon hearing this from my mother, a peculiar feeling washed over me. Yet a wave of relief washed over me as I considered the possibility that my mother might open up and share her innermost thoughts with me. With a gentle shake of my head, I turned to my mother and said, "No, Mother, I don't have a girlfriend, and I'm not interested in girls right now. My focus needs to be on my studies, as there is so much ahead of me to accomplish." Upon hearing this, my mother let out a soft laugh, and a warm feeling washed over me as well. After a while, my mother remarked, "Javed, boys your age usually have 4 or 5 girlfriends, and here you are claiming you're not interested. What is it that you are referring to, then?" All at once, I found myself uttering a word I couldn't quite grasp, and in that moment, a wave of nervousness washed over me. As I ponder the present moment, I can't help but wonder what thoughts my mother might be holding for me right now. These words flowed from my lips. "Mother, I find no allure in girls, yet I am deeply captivated by women who are my seniors." For once, my mother fell into a hush. After a while, with her hand resting gently on my head, she asked, "All right, what do you perceive in women that you don't see in girls?" Then I shared with my mother that if I were to pursue this method with a girl, it might lead me to the path of marrying her. However, if I engage in the same process with a woman, there's no apprehension of having to marry her. For even if something were to happen to her, there's no cause for concern. Upon hearing this, my mother appeared somewhat perplexed, and she spoke to me with clarity and precision. I gently mentioned to my mother, steering clear of the subject, that the hour had grown quite late. "It seems we ought to make our way home after all. Today, the younger sister is away from home. Today, our younger sister has ventured off to Auntie's house, and my father has also chosen not to return today. Today, we find ourselves in the quiet embrace of solitude at home." And my mother said to me, "All right, let's embark on this journey. Today, I will reveal to you the depths of your interest in women. Share this with me today." As my mother spoke those words, an unusual thought flickered in my mind. A myriad of thoughts began to weave their way into my consciousness. As I pondered those reflections, I realized that today, the house was empty, granting me the freedom to explore the thoughts I had about the dynamics of a husband and wife. As I pondered this, my mother remarked, "Look ahead. The gate of the house has arrived." I approached and found myself crashing into the gate. Yet, my mother remarked once more, "It seems you're adrift in your musings these days, then." Those words flowed from my lips. "Mother, today you radiate beauty." Upon hearing all this, my mother offered a gentle smile and said to me, "Son, indeed, I have always been beautiful. Today, you have seen me for the very first time." Today, my mother and I found ourselves growing closer than ever. It felt as though we were not merely mother and son, but rather each other's most cherished companion. Consider a scenario where a couple shares their innermost thoughts and secrets with one another. Today, I found myself enveloped in the warmth of new beginnings, as if I were stepping into the enchanting embrace of my first night as a partner. As the clock struck 8 in the evening, the world began to settle into a hushed calm. My mother had laid out a feast on the table. As we sat together, our meals before us, we indulged in the simple pleasure of eating. Once the meal was finished, we each retreated to our own chambers. We lay down to rest, yet sleep eluded both my mother and me. My mother held a small mobile phone, her eyes glued to the screen as she immersed herself in a video. By the audio of the video, one can infer the reason behind her choice to watch it. As I made my way to my mother's room, I took my time, savoring each step. She was unaware of my presence, and I lingered just behind her. As I gazed upon my mother's display, an inappropriate video unfolded before my eyes. I spent a minute immersed in that video, and I found myself truly enjoying it. My mother was engaging in some peculiar activities, but then, A sound escaped my lips, and my mother turned to look behind me. Then my mother, rather than feeling shy, called out to me, "Jade, come sit. Today, if you wish, you can show me just how deeply you are captivated by women. I hold the title of your mother. Today, if you wish, I can help bring your unfulfilled desire to life." I began to sense a bit of what my mother desires from me. I grasped this quite clearly. However, I found myself interrupting her to declare that, at this very moment, I needed to make my way to the bathroom. I must make my way to the washroom. And I emerged from that place and found rest in my chamber. As the dawn broke, I discovered that the garments I had donned were mysteriously absent. At that moment, my attire had transformed into something entirely different. What led to all of this unfolding? In our home, the only presence was my mother. As I pondered this, I stepped outside and discovered that my mother was facing a challenge with her leg today, which hindered her ability to walk properly. Yet, another idea was weaving its way through my thoughts. As I approached my mother, curiosity bubbling within me, I inquired about her struggle to walk properly. The revelation that followed left me utterly astonished. It was a revelation to me, one I never anticipated, to see my mother in this light. My mother shared with me that she was experiencing pain in her leg, and it was somehow tied to my happiness. In the quiet of the night, a curious twist of fate unfolded as my mother, despite her sprained leg and the pain that accompanied it, managed to bring a smile to my face. And this happiness was the kind that would usher in a different sort of joy to our home after 9 months. When my father brought joy to my mother, it was a happiness that blossomed, much like the joy my younger sister radiated in her own way. And I sense that the same joy will soon return to our home, for I shall share this with my mother. Greetings, dear friends. If this tale has captured your interest and you yearn to hear what unfolds next, prepare yourselves. The journey ahead promises to be filled with captivating and intense moments that I hope will bring you great enjoyment. And if you wish for me to continue sharing these tales, then subscribe to my exclusive YouTube channel, where you'll have the chance to be the first to hear my latest story, and you shall revel in it to your heart's delight. Be well. It is time for me to take my leave, my cherished companions. A new tale awaits your arrival.